Tes.
Kecil. Cek. Cek.
Okay, good morning, everyone. We will start today's agenda with of the Memorandum of Agreement between Universitas Sriwijaya, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, with the Department of Mathematics and Mathematics Education, National Institute of Education, Nanyang Technological University. Oke, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Oke. Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So today's agenda is the continuation of our adjunct professor agenda, and today we will have a workshop with Associate Professor Tahtin Lam from NIE, Nanyang Technological University, with the title "The Use of Comics for Mathematics Instruction." So I will read a brief CV about our speaker today. Associate Professor Dr. Tahtin Lam is an Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Mathematics and Mathematics Education of the Singapore National Institute of Education, Nanyang Technological University. He publishes extensively in both mathematics and mathematics education in the international referred academic journals. So without any further ado, let's just come to our main agenda, the workshop from our Associate Professor Dr. Tahtin Lam. To Dr. Tahtin, please start yours.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Today is Saturday. I'm happy to see so many of you. You know, back in Singapore, I cannot do workshops on Saturday. The teachers will complain. Or the best is nobody will come. Okay. If I can see 50%, I'm more than happy. But I'm so glad to see so many of you here. It's very encouraging. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so today I will continue with the theme that I discussed yesterday. Basically, Prof. Zulkadi tell me the thing that I want to that I should mention is about teams. Visa performance. I think why Singapore is doing well. But today I do not want you to run away with the idea that in Singapore, okay, everything is a bed of roses. Huh? So I want to show you the truth. So perhaps if we can start the slides. Yes. Okay. Thank you. You see, one thing about Singapore that I want you to be aware is, even though our TIMSS and PISA results are good, especially for TIMSS, many of our local researchers did see that if you go and analyze more microscopic detail, even though the average is high, but there's a tail of what we call the low progress learners. So actually it raised the concern of the Ministry of Education. No doubt the average is high, but there is this tail here. Last time we called them low attainers. Thank you. Hang on. Last time we called them low attainers. People say no good, because when you say low attainers, that means you are judging them, not doing well. Then later we call low progress learners. Low progress learners also not very good. Yes, because all these terms are judgmental. So slowly we use low readiness, slow response learners. I think anyway, all mean the same thing, just that we try not to judge them. Yes, do you mind to go on to the next slide? Next. So roughly, I will present this way. What I do may be quite different. Hang on, before I forget. Okay, good. So this is roughly the sequence that I will talk. I will briefly share with you an introduction, and I will talk about the alternative approach of viewing mathematics, mathematics as communication, design of maths instructional material with a little help from communication theory. This perhaps is something that you can you can explore. Further suggestions, comparing ideas from education communication theory and current research. So roughly I will talk about this. Okay, next. This was what I said just now. Although Singapore has performed well in international comparative studies such as TIMSS and PISA, we still have students who do not perform well in mathematics and of course science also. Today I will focus more about the mathematics because this is the area that I'm most familiar. Okay, much attention has been devoted to the learning needs of this group of students by the Singapore Ministry of Education, by school teachers, by researchers from NIE. Okay, in fact, we have actually devoted much energy to this group of people for many years. Okay, how come they are not learning well? What's wrong with them? Is it they can't learn maths? Is it they are not interested, not motivated? We actually explore a lot of this. Next, please. Okay, one thing that I would want to say is, in fact, many parties have think of different approaches to help teachers to manage this group of students. In fact, one of the main things that we take note of is classroom management. Because this group of students, they are not interested in the class, so they create a lot of troubles in the class. They fight in the class, they quarrel in the class, they argue with the teachers, they don't allow lessons to go on. So this leads to a lot of difficult situations that actually beginning teachers find hard to handle. So classroom management is one aspect that all the teacher trainees in Singapore need to go through. That means when they come to NIE, one of the modules that's very important is classroom management, how you handle difficult situations in the class. When two students start to fight in the class, what will teachers do? Okay, or rather what will teachers not do, etc. And of course, we have education psychology. That means some of this group of students, because they have very low academic self-concept, they think that they are very lousy. They feel that they cannot achieve. Why? Because many of them come from family background, which is not really desirable. Okay, there are many situations. Many of those, usually they have home problems. Quite complicated issues. Okay, all those counselors, they know that. And of course, they don't have they are not self-motivated. Their academic self-concept is very low. They never pass an exam since primary school. So now, when they come to secondary school, you want them to do mathematics, that's even worse. Okay, mathematics is already not an easy subject. No motivation, unable to achieve. So, how do teachers manage this? They learn education psychology to study what is the psyche of this group of students. And of course, not to talk about the next one, general pedagogy. Use different strategies to help them. Metacognitive strategies, differentiated instructions, cooperative learning strategies. I think these are the generic pedagogy. When it comes to subject specific, we also have pedagogies in mathematics. How best to teach the concepts, how best to engage them in meaningful mathematics tasks. Maybe investigative tasks may help them, quality homework in mathematics, etc. So we have a lot of this, what we call the standard approaches. Okay, these are the standard approaches to help teachers deal with this group of low progress learners. Okay, at this point, is there any questions or is there any comment before I move on to the next slide? I hope we can make this interactive. Yeah, if you have anything, you can speak in Bahasa Indonesian. I think we have, yes, we have the very kind lady who will help translate. Okay, don't let me go on and on. Yes, 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 ma'am.
I'm concerned about the differentiated instruction.
Yes.
What's the meaning of the differentiated instruction in Singapore?
Okay, thank you. Differentiated instruction, let me tell you differentiated instruction. So can I check in Indonesia, you all have some form of this practice, differentiated instruction in Indonesia?
Yeah, we call it the learning, differentiated learning.
Differentiated learning, yes.
Not instruction.
Ah, okay. Differentiated instruction, what we call DI, basically is not something that starts from Singapore. It's standard. It's some of the theory started. I think somebody by the name of Tomlinson. Okay, he wrote a book on differentiation. Differentiation, as in what? Because if I have a class of students of different abilities, okay, I make sure that everybody can progress at his or her own pace. Okay, so this is the general idea. That means it is not a usual teacher talk, because a teacher can only address one whole class at a time. Okay, so many students will be left out. So they use a lot of activities to engage students of different inclinations. Okay? So differentiation by what? A few things. By the differentiation by content. Suppose I have very strong students, they will learn more things. And I have very weak students, they may learn fewer things. Those are necessary for the examination. But stronger students, I'll stretch them more. So this is called differentiation by content. That means at the end of the day, everybody learn different amount. Okay, up to their ability. Differentiation by content. Differentiation by process. That means in the classroom itself, I have different types of activities for different types of learners. For example, this group of students who is more visual. So I have certain instructional practices that address to the more visual learners. I have another group who is more audio, usually the higher achievers, even though it's a stereotype. I will have more of the audio type of learning. And usually the low progress learners are the more kinesthetic. That means they need to hands-on. Okay, so I have suitable activity for them. So in an ideal situation, a classroom with differentiated instruction by process, you will see all the activities going on. So it is unlikely to be a teacher talk. It is usually a lot of group activities going on. Usually it's very messy. Okay, it is something that's very messy. Yes.
From equation. When I teach about one topic, what about the different content? You said before, because the different ability, so
Yes.
different content.
Right.
This is more activity than low ability.
Yes.
So is it in the same time using the different style like kinesthetic and audio theory, auditory,
yes.
and visual? Is
Yes.
it the same time? Or,
At the same time. Ideally, it is the same time.
can
Yes.
you have do you have one example for one topic? How?
Definitely. Let me tell you, this is so far in theory. To really push this to the extreme, sometimes it is really difficult. I would agree with you. Yes, but I can think of a simple case. This is simple case. Like when I teach a certain mathematics topic, quadratic equation. Okay, my weaker students, they focus on all the very basic type of equations. At least they must know how to factorize and so on and so forth. For my higher ability students, they need to be more analytic. They need to study what is the relation between the roots of the equation and the discriminant. And in the middle ability students, they should be transiting from all this procedural to the analytic aspect of mathematics. So in a way, I allow different students to end up learning slightly different depth. But all are learning quadratic equations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What about the auditory, visual, and
Auditory are the high achievers. Are the high achievers. So you stretch them. You push them all the extreme things that they can do. Okay, for the more visual one, they need to play with manipulative. They need to play around.
in the quadratic equation?
Yes.
What kind of the manipulative?
You can use algebra tiles.
Okay, algebra tile.
Yes, algebra tile. Like for example, x squared plus 3x plus 2. You can play around and arrange into rectangles x plus 2 and x plus 1, you see? Yes. Yeah, so you allow them to progress in this case. So for the more kinesthetic one, you really need to let them play around and go on to something that's very basic. For example, how to use calculators to evaluate the values, or how to use simple tools to play around with it. Yeah, so in a class, we should allow students to progress in different way. Differentiated instruction. But let me tell you, I must be frank, differentiated instruction is good in theory, but in practice it is very hard. It is very, very hard, especially if your class, what is the rough class size in Indonesia? Class size, each class, roughly how many students in high school?
30,
Yes.
or 40.
Okay, around the same as Singapore. I think this number already quite difficult to manage. But the whole idea of differentiated instruction is you must have different approach for different learners. May or may not be too successful. One example is the tiered practice. In Singapore textbooks, if you take a look, the textbooks, they arrange the questions into level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1, all students must be able to manage. Level 2, most students must be able to manage. Level 3, the high ability students must be able to manage. So they have all this what we call tiered practice. Okay, tiered practice. This is differentiation in product. That means at the end, when the students submit homework to you, it will be different forms. Yes. Okay, this is something that is nice in theory. I have seen some efforts to practice it, but if you want me to give you a very successful story, I think I have not seen. Okay, and if you ask me to conduct one lesson of this nature, I find it difficult. There are many other confounding factors. Okay, so this is the reality. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
The first, I want to ask, in Singapore, in one class, there are how many children in class?
Around 30 something to 40, which is the same as.
And then, are they grouped based on their learning style?
You see, in the old days, if let's say you ask me 10 years ago, I would say yes, because we have something called streaming. That means the best students are under express. We call them express, all are together. And then the middle ability are called the normal academic. And the lowest ability, that means those who will be going for technical education, is what we call normal technical. So we have such a thing called streaming in the past. Okay? But now because they see this as discrimination, and now people are very sensitive to it, so they remove this. Okay? They remove this. So now if you go to Singapore class, you go to a class itself, you can see students of all the different ability, very good ones and very weak ones also. All will be together in a class. If you ask me 5 years ago or 10 years ago, I say no. All the best one in particular class, the weakest one in another class, and the middle ability one. Yeah, now we mix all of them up.
Okay. Now
Yes.
mix,
Yes.
There is no separate.
Yes.
Low, middle, and high.
Yes. So you go to a class, you can have different students. Okay, yeah. I really like your questions. If you have all these questions, that will set our context for discussion.
In Indonesia, to start for new curriculum using the differentiated instruction with spirit between low, middle, and high ability, and using the different style.
Yes, this is partly true, but I think the other thing that we are doing is what we call subject-based banding. Okay, that means because in the past this streaming is I classify you as the best, but the reality is you may not be best in everything. You see, you may be best in maths and science, but in humanities you may be weaker, right? Okay, I classify you as lowest ability, but actually you are lowest ability in only 1 or 2 subjects, but the other subject you may be in high ability. Yes, so I think this labeling as express, normal acad, normal tech has its problems because nobody is good or bad in everything. So that's why we nowadays we mix all together, and we let students progress at different rate in different subjects. So I would not say differentiated instruction is irregardless of your capability. Okay, but rather all the students around the same type are grouped together. Okay, and of course, even in such a class, there is still some effort of differentiated instruction. Of course, I don't have the extreme. Like in my maths class, I have the IMO type of contestants and the other one who have not even passed primary school mathematics. I don't have this extreme. Okay, usually we will close this gap later. Okay, but even that, we practice differentiated instruction from there. Yes, I am happy to get more of your questions here. Any one of you, is everything fine here? Okay. Okay, so maybe we move on to the next slide. Yeah, next one, please. Okay, you see, mathematics has been a difficult subject for many students. This one is a truth. Okay, even though you say that Singapore students do well in mathematics, but it is still difficult by many students. Those of lower ability will find mathematics difficult. And of course, another problem is some students do not see mathematics as useful, see? Because you teach them algebra. A plus B squared is A squared plus B squared plus 2AB. What? For what, you see? So there is a problem. When I was teaching in schools many years back, I worked with a group of very weak students. Somehow I managed to explain all these formulas. I managed to demonstrate to them why A plus B squared is A squared plus B squared plus 2AB using the algebra tiles and so on and so forth. I was so satisfied. I was so happy I can explain all this to the students, and the students seemed to understand. But after that, one boy came to me. He told me, I am going to be a hawker because his father is selling prawn noodles. Okay, he only wants to be to inherit his father's work. He said, I know what you are talking, yes, but it's no use for me. So this is one thing that is very interesting. They don't see the relevance of it. And if what he says is true, there's no way I can say he is wrong. Am I right to say so? He doesn't need algebra. He just needs to know how to add and subtract money. That's all. He doesn't need algebra. So some students see mathematics as not relevant. Okay, and some, of course, some are misconception. Yeah, because of course you can tell them mathematics is all around the world, you see. Even when you build bridges, you can see mathematics, etc. Okay? Of course, other people think that even I know this application also no use for me. Okay, so this is one thing we need to address, which I find very hard to address. Okay, I'll discuss with you later. Actually, in 2014, I did a survey with my colleague in NIE, Elena Louis. We tried to find out from the teachers who teach these weaker students. Okay, we try to see whether our perception that those lowest attaining students, they have difficulties in mathematics. Whether is this our researchers' impression or is it really true in the ground? So all the teachers who participate in the survey say, true. And not only true, is a very serious issue. The teachers are having a headache in addressing the learning needs of this group of low ability students. And every day they are fighting the battles. And also from school record in the past, we could see the teachers who are teaching those low ability students, very soon after a while they will resign. Okay? Or they will ask to transfer to another school. Even their motivation is very low. Okay? So it is a very true problem. So it is not a problem that we researchers in NIE believe it was true. We did a survey and found that it is a very true problem. More serious than what we thought initially. Next, please. Okay, next question. Why were these low progress learners stuck at the mathematics problem? So we want to hear from the teachers. Why I did that survey in 2014 was because at the time I was writing a mathematics textbook for the weakest student in Singapore, for the what they call normal technical students. So of course I need to know what the teachers really feel. Okay, so we asked the teachers, why do you think your weakest students are stuck in mathematics? They say a few reasons. I can classify them under cognitive. First is low literacy skills. Poor foundation in primary school mathematics. This is quite serious. That means in primary school they have never passed mathematics. Now they move up to secondary school. So, of course, I think they are stuck at the mathematics problem. They don't have the skills to solve. And the worst thing is many of them cannot solve problems that are more than one step. Usually, word problem, I can call it a one-step or multiple-step problem. Most of them may solve one-step problem, but multi-step problems, they can't. And of course, they can't understand the mathematics concept. And for these low-attaining students, you really need a lot of examples to understand the concepts. How you explain clearly, you can be an excellent teacher, you explain so clearly, but they still cannot understand. They need a lot of examples. Textbooks usually don't have these examples. And the last one is the misconceptions they have about mathematics are not clarified. Okay, why are they not clarified? Sometimes their misconceptions are so ridiculous that even teachers will not believe, you see. You need to know that why people become teachers. Usually those who become teachers, when they were students, they are good students. So it's very hard for them to empathize with those really weak students. Wow, how come such a thing? You don't even know, you see. So because of this, a lot of misconceptions are not clarified. And some students dare not even ask questions in the class because the question can sound so stupid. Yeah. So many students would rather keep quiet, you see. So because of this, all these things keep accumulating. So misconceptions not clarified. There's no examples to illustrate, etc. So this is one of the these are the cognitive factors that the teachers said that our low progress learners have. Cognitive. Okay, serious but also have another category of problem. Next, please. Yes, another one is about affect. Affective reason about the affects. Lack of self-confidence. They are not able to achieve success. So far, when they learn mathematics in a primary school, they never gain any success. So they don't have confidence. They are not satisfied. You give me a problem to solve. So what? Even if I can solve, so what? You see? So these are always the common question. They are discouraged by poor results, of course. Not resilient when facing setbacks. These are our younger generation today. They call it the Gen Z, right? Gen Z. They also call it the strawberry generation. I'm not sure they have. Okay, cannot stand any setbacks. Okay, so we have these effects. Okay, effective reason. Okay, so this is cognitive and effective. Okay, why they get stuck at the math problems? Once they take a look at the problem, they don't want to carry on. They never pass maths exam. They have no confidence they can do it. They are poor in mathematics. Okay, and every time they cannot solve a problem, they feel very upset. Compared to a mathematician, where if they solve a problem, the harder the problem, the more perseverance they will have in trying to solve the problem. Okay, quite the opposite. So these were the two categories of reason why they were stuck in mathematics problems. Okay, next. Okay, why they were stuck. Then why they were not interested in math. Also cognitive reason. Not applicable to their life. Not useful to learn so much. Effective factors is they don't like to reason, they lack determination. And of course one other thing is family problems. Family problems is beyond our scope. Okay, usually the counselors, all this will take over. Okay, but even though this is not a mathematics problem, it has affected the learning of mathematics. And in fact, the learning of other subjects. Okay, so why they were stuck, why they were not interested in the mathematics. Quite interesting. Both of them can be under cognitive and effective. So we classify all the different reasons. We saw this. Okay, can I pause for a while? I want to hear from you whether there's any questions or comments. Any comments or questions before I move on to the next step? Yes, ma'am, yeah.
I would like to ask about the affective factors.
Yes.
You say some points about like resilience or self-confidence.
Yes.
And like determination, something like that.
Yeah.
As far as I know, sometimes that factors influenced by their family or their childhood.
Yes.
Is there any, I mean, like something that given to the parents? I mean, like in the by the government of the Singapore, something like that. That could help the teachers. Because I think sometimes it's not the school problem, but maybe the problem came from their home.
Yes. I think, in fact, we do understand. I did mention the family problem is one thing that is actually, most of the time, is beyond the scope, beyond the duties of the schools. But basically, in the schools nowadays, we have counselors. We have school counselors. For students who have all the family problems or whatever, the counselors will take over from there. If they can solve, that's good. If they can't solve, then they will refer to the appropriate government agencies to look into it. Yes. I think there are such efforts, but not directly related. I can give you an example. I knew of a case of a family. Okay, this family has many children. Okay, the mother takes care of many children, and the father was in prison. Okay, and there was many, and of course, this mother cannot manage so many of the kids, and the kids steal things, go around stealing in the 7-Eleven and so on, and then get into a lot of troublesome cases. So I think, of course, their studies are affected. Yes. So I think we also recognize that there are such cases. I think so. This is beyond what the school can manage. So all those social workers and everybody will come in. Yes.
So every school in Singapore has that facility. I mean,
Has a counselor to do
Has
the
a counselor.
first cut
Okay.
of all these family issues or psychological issues. So if they can solve it, it's good. If not, they will need to refer to government agencies. Yes, but this one is actually, the influence is quite broad. It is beyond just what the school can manage. Yeah. Yes, this is the reality. We have such people in Singapore, definitely. Yeah, and this group, of course, there's no one-one correspondence, but many of the children from this family, usually they form the lower end in the schools. But of course, there are always exceptions. Yes, but what I say is generally. Okay? So family problems is one of the reasons that the teachers say that affect the students' learning of mathematics, make them not interested. Okay, so this is something that I think is quite real as well. Okay? So why they were not interested in mathematics? Next slide. Okay, in fact, I think the third question that I asked for me becomes more encouraging. Because what I also learned is that Singapore teachers, they recognize these are the problems, but they are also actively trying to use different ways to help the students. They are not just surrendering to fate. You see, oh, too bad, I can't do anything. But they are very active. They are very active in finding ways to help them. Whether successful or not successful is another thing. Like, for example, they harness a lot of technology. They use the interactive whiteboard. They use videos. okay, to excite the students about mathematics. And they also use games. Nowadays, we talk about games and gamification. I believe you might have heard of this, games and gamification. Using games is quite common. Gamification means you turn the environment of a classroom learning like as if it's a gaming environment, using the levels of learning and etc. Okay, to engage the students in a gamified environment. So teachers are already using that. Also, our teachers are using the handmade manipulative provided by Ministry of Education. Ministry of Education did give the schools all the algebra tiles, algebra days to teach algebra to the beginning students. If I have time, I would want to talk more into this, but I think this itself could be another very long session. Using this algebra, teaching algebra, abstract things using concrete objects. And teachers are also using newspaper cuttings. Okay? To show students, you see, mathematics is in the real world. They use the real newspaper and turn that into a math problems for the students. Okay, so some of the teachers gave us examples of that. Okay, the problem may not be too tough. The problem could be something quite easy on simple percentages, but somehow show students the application of mathematics in the real world or problem in real world context. Okay, so I think our teachers are also actively doing such things. Next slide, please. You see, one thing about the teaching material is appropriate use of textbook and workbook. And in fact, teachers are also using cartoons, okay, to teach mathematics. Actually, this is where that I actually find out more from the teachers later. I'll share with you. And of course, teachers use real-life examples, hands-on activities. They use storytelling. They use humor. They use individualized instructions. So in a way, our teachers were very creative in doing this. All these pedagogical considerations, many of them were created by the teachers. And even the use of the cartoons, okay, was a new initiative by some of the teachers. But of course, the problem is that there is no concerted effort. And also, it is very situational. Because when you come across some nice cartoon, you use it. If you don't have, then you forget about it. Okay? It is actually depending on occasions. Okay, so there is no concerted effort in doing all this. So as and when the teacher finds something on percentage, they use it. Find something on algebra, they use it. If they don't find it, then too bad. You get what I mean? So there lacks a concerted effort to do something. And of course, more important thing for us is that there's no underlying theory on how to systematically use it. Okay, so this was our concern. Okay, okay, next slide. Yes, Prof.
Can you describe a little bit of how to use humor?
Okay, can I describe a little bit of humor? You know, if you go to internet, you can find a lot of mathematics jokes. Mathematics jokes. In fact, in my comics package that I use, I also talk about mathematics jokes as well. One very common joke is this. I believe now there are many versions. One version is this person go to a haircut, go for haircut. 50% discount. 50% discount. Okay, 50% discount. He went in and came out. He only got half of his haircut only. Okay, why? 50% discount. Yeah, a lot of these jokes in the internet. Yeah, so some teachers make use of these jokes. Yes. Yes, it's to make a joke out of this percentage concept. Okay? Some teachers are using this. And in fact, there is a research in the 1970s that it's a large-scale empirical study, I think by somebody called Kaplan et al. Kaplan. Okay, he did show that using humors in education actually improved the information retention of the students. I think his evidence is quite substantial. Okay, in fact, when I cite the use of humor, I will definitely cite this piece of work. This is a seminal work Okay, on information processing. Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Previous slide, please. Previous one. Before this. Yes.
Can you explain about individualized instruction?
Individualized instruction, Okay, if you read through literature, okay, you see, long time ago, is one teacher, many hundreds of students, right? Yeah, the guru teaching one whole group of students, right? This is the very old tradition. Then we go to the other extreme. That means that if there are 100 different students, I have 100 different styles of teaching. That means I split myself into 100 and I teach 100 of them in 100 ways. This is the individualized instruction. But of course, this is not possible, right? And of course, the other way, 1 versus 100 odds of students, this is no good. So we have to strive somewhere in the middle. So that's why we have all the cooperative learning strategies and all these things. These are not the whole group instruction. This is not the individualized, but it's somewhere in between. Okay, but of course, when teachers talk about individualized instruction, is that they see the very weak students individually. They need to attend to them individually. I can't see how in a class of 40 students you can have 40 different individualized instruction. When I clarify with the teachers, they mean they have some weak students. For this group, they have individualized instruction for them. But whether it's sustainable or not, I don't know. Okay, that I do not know. But these are some considerations that the teachers make in recognizing the needs of the students. Yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other problems here before I... okay, no. Okay, next. Okay. You see, what other things have teachers been using? I think some of these ideas are good. Sometimes, for the weak students, we don't actually set a test that's so difficult. We allow them to have some small success. Some small success is very, very important. Sometimes you have a question, you can split into many parts. Some of the easier parts, even the weaker students can actually pass them. That's an important thing to do. Allow for small successes. No need to be everything so tough for everyone. Okay? And for these low attaining students, building some rapport with them is so important. My work with these low attainer students tell me something. Sometimes this group of students, they don't study mathematics or science or whatever subject because of their subject. They study because of the teacher. I'm not sure whether for those of you who have worked with low attainers, you will know this. Yeah, in fact, the students, they study a subject because they trust in you. So that's why rapport is so important. But once the subject changed to another teacher comes up, and if the student doesn't have good rapport with the teacher, they'll just give up. For example, last time I have good teacher, Mr. So-and-so. I love mathematics. But now maths teacher changed to so-and-so. I hate mathematics and I don't learn mathematics, you see. So a lot of these students' discussion is about who is the teacher interacting with them. So I think our teachers recognize this also. The important thing is build rapport with them. That's very important. Of course, many of them have very poor language, so simplifying the language will be an issue. You see, I think I may not have spoken about word problems. In Singapore mathematics, there's one whole category of problems called the word problems since upper primary. They have all the very long sentences. Okay, no one in the real world will speak like that. Okay, very, very long sentences. So many students who actually cannot solve the word problems, not because they do not know mathematics, because their language is poor. And in Singapore, the language is English. Okay, I tell you, for those low attaining students at home, 99% don't speak English. if they are Chinese, they will speak one of the dialects. If they are Malay, they will speak Malay. If they are Tamil, they will speak Tamil. In those low attaining students, the home language usually is the mother tongue. Okay? And usually those more affluent families, those higher achieving students, at home they speak English almost exclusively. This is the very interesting trend in Singapore. Okay? When you hear young kids speak so fluently in English even in their daily life, you will suspect that they do not belong to the lower attaining, lower group. Very interesting. Okay, quite different from Malaysia. Once I went to Malaysia, I spoke to a few professors. Okay, those professors in the universities. Once they brought their children along, I was a bit shocked because that was not quite in Singapore. They spoke in Chinese, in Hokkien, in one of the dialects of the Chinese. But this was quite unthinkable in Singapore. Usually in Singapore, they will speak in English. You see? Yeah, so that's why I think in Singapore we have this problem. That means the really low attaining students, they have problems with English language. So a lot of the time they cannot solve the mathematics, they cannot read the word problem because the sentences are so long. Okay, so that's why teachers are actively trying to simplify the language. Okay, no need to make everything so complicated. Simplify the language. And they do small group consultation and have this personal encouragement. You see, a lot of this you can see are very personal. Not so much of mathematics, right? It's more of personal engagement with the students. So teachers have been doing this. Okay, so these are some effort for them in dealing with the low ability students. Yes, next slide. Thank you. Okay, I want to talk about something else. Okay, this one I want to say, of course, some of you may object. Okay, sometimes in Singapore, we always talk about making mathematics more relevant. No, I'm just proposing this idea. I'm not saying I'm right. Some educators feel that you must make mathematics more relevant so that students will be motivated. I don't totally disagree, but at the same time, I don't totally agree. You take a look, these are some pictures in our local textbooks. You see all these bridges, right? Then when they talk about quadratic equation or exponential function, you see mathematics everywhere. You see, even in the is it London Bridge or Tower Bridge, and then in the bridge in San Francisco, right? Yeah. Okay, you see, mathematics is everywhere. Now, if you try to think from the low attaining students, the low progress learners, they have no ambition to be engineer. They don't want to be engineer. They just want to have a living, right? Like what I shared with you, the story. This kid, he just wants to sell prawn noodles. When you show them these bridges, do you think it's relevant to them? No, you see? So, I'm always against this. In my Singapore textbooks, always the first page is mathematics is relevant. But again, I always feel that this relevance is subjective. You show a low progress learners this, they say this is not what I'm keen, I'm not going to be engineer. Okay, so is this still relevant or not? Mathematics is needed to to calculate your location on the earth. If you understand the earth as a sphere, and of course now the more advanced thing, the GPS, all this make use of mathematics. You need mathematics to run business. Are all these things relevant? That's why I always feel relevance is subjective. What is relevant to you may not be relevant to me. If you let me tell you, when I was a student in a primary secondary school, when I was in secondary or primary school, if you show me so much of this application in real world, I will give up mathematics. I enjoy mathematics because mathematics is fun. I don't want to be troubled by all this real world context. That's why I never become engineer. In the old days, the mathematics textbook is just calculation, showing you a lot of fun mathematics. To me, I enjoy that, you see. Yeah, but of course, I'm not saying that this application itself is no good. Yes, for students who like real-world mathematics, who are thinking of becoming engineers or something like this, but this is a big group of students. They will like this, yes. But I'm not saying this is no good. I'm saying that this is not exclusive. This is not everything. And especially for low progress learners, this alone is not enough. It's not convincing. And of course, for those who want to become mathematicians, they see this as a burden. I just enjoy mathematics. Mathematics is so nice. Why do I want to see this real world application? So we also need to be careful. Okay, now I suspect I may get some scolding from you. Okay, any questions first? What I'm saying may be a bit unconventional. Any response from you? I am not trying to challenge the norm, but what I'm just trying to say is that what is usually perceived as the norm is good, but not 100%. Doesn't cover all. So when you teach mathematics, especially to the low attaining students, you must be careful. These things are in textbooks. They may not be motivated. Any comments or questions? That's why in the text that I wrote, I have to put all these things in. But because the textbook that I wrote was for the low attaining students, I don't want to just put exclusively these things. So that's why I introduced something called comics and cartoons. Because the one can attract them more than this. But I have to put something in MOE's guiding principle. When you write a textbook, you must have a real world application. Okay, but to deal with the lowest attaining students, this itself may be an issue. Okay, just exclusively all this real world application. Okay? Any questions or comments from you? I'm shocked that all of you are happy with what I say. I thought I'm going to get many questions or scolding. Hey, sorry, someone is trying to say. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I guess the teacher need to be like multi-talent because they have to cover for those students who really interested, like you said, to be the engineer, so present something like this. And for the low achiever students, you need to maybe use the humor or comics or something like you said before. So for one teacher in a heterogeneous class, I think it's a very hard work to do.
Yes, but okay, so in our context in Singapore, teachers don't work alone. I'm teaching one class, you are teaching one class, she's teaching another class. So five of us teaching 5 different classes, right? So if you expect all the 5 of us to be equal, multi-talented, then there's a problem, right? Correct? So in Singapore case, we have what we call a learning community. So all of us, since we are teaching the same level, there are some free time in the school. Nowadays, they call it the white space. And we teach the same subject, we come together, and we sort everything out. For example, you are better with engineering mathematics, so you share with us how to motivate the students. She is better in dealing with all the low attaining students, maybe share the strategies. So as a result, all of us share all this strategy, so we can be good in everything. But of course, at the start, but I think the important thing is to work in group. Yeah, share the problem. When we encounter this issue, what we are going to do, discuss, sort out as a group. Yeah, so this is how in Singapore, every school has what we call the white space. Okay, where the teachers teaching the same subject come together, discuss. Yeah, so I think this is how, this is also part of the teacher's professional development. Yeah. Yes, yes. So it's not so scary. On the first thought, it's very scary. Yes, definitely it's very scary. How can you expect a teacher to be multi-talented, right? Yeah. But if all of us were to work in groups, we learn from one another. After a few years, we gain experience. So I think it is not impossible. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Anything before I move on? Huh? Yes? Everything happy? Everybody happy, sorry? Sure. Okay, thanks. Next slide, please. Like what I mentioned, if you disagree with me or anything, do let me know. Huh? Okay, next slide, please. Next slide. Next, thank you. Okay, again, I always like to see this pentagon. Huh? Okay, you see, there's one part. You see, in Singapore mathematics, we have these 5 sides. Yesterday I showed you quite a few times. Do you see the top one is attitude? The top left is attitude. Attitude is always the problem because most of the teachers, when they teach mathematics, they don't care about the attitudes. Because students are going to perform in exams. Exams is how good are you with the skills, the concepts, and the process. Nobody look at the attitude. You see? So that's why many teachers don't address this attitude. So that's the whole problem. So that's why when we deal with the low attaining students, we cannot ignore the attitude. Like what many of our teachers actually address the learning, the attitude of the student or the effective aspect of the student learning. And of course, the other part that is very hard to take note is metacognition. I'm not so much talking about this metacognition. I'm not talking about metacognition today. Yeah, but I think attitude is an aspect that we spend so much attention on the low attaining students. Okay, this is something that is really, really important. You can see that all my talk up to now is nothing but attitude. Okay, to summarize is the attitude or their effect. Okay. Okay, there is one article that I like a lot. This is Kisane, 2019. This is Barry Kisane. I think some of you might have heard of him before. He's known for technology. Okay, I think he's working very closely with Casio. I have heard him talk many times in many parts of the world. Okay, but one of these quote that I always like is this. He submitted one paper to our journal, and one of the quote that I always like is this sentence. Mathematics should not always be seen from its utility perspective. We could also appreciate the aesthetic aspect of mathematics. That means what? That means you cannot always just see mathematics from its utility. That means just the application only. Just the application of mathematics. You see, mathematics apply in the real world, apply here, apply there. Okay? This is called utility. That means the practical use of mathematics. So he's saying that you should not always see mathematics 100% from this utility. You should also see the beauty of mathematics in itself. Why mathematicians like mathematics, especially the pure mathematicians? It's not because mathematics is useful in the real world. It's because mathematics is nice. It is a whole world of logic in its own, you see? So for the pure mathematicians, they enjoy the beauty of mathematics. And some aspect of this beauty is also important. So we should not always only look at the utility or the application perspective. We should also see the beauty of mathematics. This is an important thing that he said. I appreciate this a lot because nowadays a lot of maths educators always go on to talk about application, real world context. That is not wrong. That is very good. But this aspect of the beauty of mathematics itself, okay, the aspect of beauty of mathematics cannot be ignored. Mathematics is nice. It can be a language in its own discussion. Okay, just like you speak your own language, mathematicians also speak in their own language, you see, and so on and so forth. So it is a nice language in its own that involves logical deduction, etc. Okay, so another way of seeing mathematics is the aesthetic part. That's very important. Okay, I stop for a while. Any comments to add on? Anything that you want to add in from there? Yes, yeah. Yes. Yes.
What do you mean by beauty? Can you explain a little bit about the beauty?
Okay, you see.
Is it by the pattern or is it by the thing based on same variable space geometry?
Yes, you see. Yes, thank you. Beauty of mathematics, like what Prof. Zulkardi mentioned, can be in many aspects. In the space itself, how mathematics, like for example, Fibonacci sequence, right, itself is something that is really interesting. And for example, the problem that I showed you yesterday, the number sequence, 1, 3, 5, how come become perfect square? You can go and rearrange and so on and so forth. There are many things about mathematics. Even the logic of mathematics, you solve the same thing from two different angles, you get two different expressions, and these two are equal, is an identity itself, you see? So a lot of these things can arise from the mathematics logic itself, can arise from the visual part, can arise from the working, etc. Okay, so I think these are the aspects that we cannot ignore. This paper by Barry Kissain, he gave a lot of examples. Barry Kissain, he gave a lot of examples. That is very nice. Okay, but of course his examples are not exhaustive lah. Okay, we can also create a lot of such examples on our own. For those of us who are interested in mathematics, think of why you're interested in mathematics. Of course, applied mathematicians, they will always ask, so what, you see? That means, you tell me the beauty, so what? But I think mathematicians, first they appreciate the beauty. That's the most important part. You appreciate the beauty and other things may follow. Okay, so this is an aspect. This is one thing that I always appreciate. The beauty of mathematics should come in. Like for example, just now I told you the mathematics jokes. The one 50% discount and 50% only get the half haircut. Is that really considered as a 50% discount, etc.? In fact, I use these jokes in my comics lessons. And I saw that many students use that as a discussion platform. They start to create, they say, this is cheating. This is not 50% discount. Okay, when you say discount means 50% discount, you still need to get the full haircut. 50% discount, you get half haircut. By proportion, this is not discount. You see, a lot of such discussions went on. Okay, this is not about the utility, but this is about the nice part of mathematics in the world. Okay, not so much of the utility perspective. Okay, next slide. Next slide. Yes, next slide. Next slide. Okay. Now I want to offer an alternative perspective. I want to offer an alternative perspective. This is something that is slightly new. I have this is the second time, or rather the third time I'm presenting this. Okay. We can see mathematics teaching as a form of communication. Or in fact, another. Okay, first of all, some people will want to argue mathematics is the language, all right? Some people like to argue mathematics is the language. Why is it a language? Okay, because I speak a certain language, you speak another language. I may not be able to understand what you're talking about. You may not know what I'm talking about. But when we write mathematics equation, we can communicate together. I share with you my experience. In the year 1999, I was the IMO, International Maths Olympiad Deputy Leader. I brought the team to Romania for maths competition. Okay, very interesting. When I was over there, you see so many countries, participants, all together. We do not speak each other's language. Of course, Singapore, we speak English, and then you have a lot of European countries, African countries. We cannot understand each other. But when all of the students mathematics, as if they are good friends, they talk so much. Okay? So this is something that I was amused at. That was the first time that I saw it. And the most interesting thing is the marker of the they are not they don't understand English because that year was in Romania. So those are Romanians. How come they mark a mathematics script when they don't understand the language? Okay, it's a lot of mathematics involved, you see. At that time, there's no translator like Google Translate, etc. Okay, and they can make sense of everything, you see. So what I would say is mathematics as a language is not too far-fetched. I think it's reasonable. So I'm actually proposing mathematics can also be seen as a form of communication. I'm proposing this again is so, in other words, I'm seeing that teaching mathematics, you can understand it from a communication. That means using okay, again, I'm happy if you disagree with me. In fact, when you disagree with me, it also helps me to sharpen my thinking as well. I have presented only the third time at most. Okay? When I talk about communication, it's not one-to-one communication. It's not I talking to you alone. This is not. This is personal communication. When I say communication, I see it as a form of mass communication. Okay, mass communication. Okay. Let me just skip this for a while. You see, I share with you my Singapore context. May or may not be true. You see, in Singapore, okay, our school teachers, sometimes they are very, what I call efficient, with inverted comma. Even the first week of the term, they have already planned what they want to teach for the 10 weeks, of course. But they also plan remedial lessons in the first week. You know remedial lessons? Remedial lessons is when students cannot get it, then you ask them to come for extra lesson. Try to imagine in the first week of the first term, the teacher already organized remedial lessons. So what does that mean? That means that this teacher is already planning for the students not to understand, so that they will come back for the remedial lessons. Even in first week, this is very efficient, right? First week of the first term, already planning for that. Okay, so I like to use this as an example. So that means as a teacher, when I do this, I'm planning for the case that my lesson delivery is not successful. So they need to come back for extra lesson. Even in the beginning of the first of the semester. Quite interesting. Okay, now you look at the commercial world. Here you have a lot of McDonald's, KFC, right? I think especially McDonald's. I think McDonald's can be quite aggressive. I'm not sure whether in Indonesia is the case. Always when they have a new product, they will have an advertisement, right? They will keep on having advertisement for a few weeks. And every time you switch on TV, okay, at least in the Singapore context, for the few weeks, this new product, it will keep on advertising in all the different channels. Okay, until everybody, even young kids, when they just switch on the TV at a certain time, they saw this. They know that this is the new thing in McDonald's is coming out. Okay, even the young kids know about it now. Okay, very interesting. And this symbol M is so iconic, the McDonald's. You know, all my nephews and nieces, whenever they ask for, they like to eat hamburgers. Very interesting. All of them die must go McDonald's one. You bring them to Burger King, KFC, or Moss Burger, they'll say no. They are so successful because it raised the awareness. Okay, and the student and the young kids know it. And not only they know it, they ask their parents to buy it. Translate to action. Okay? So in a way, what does this mean? This shows that their communication is very successful. They manage not just to let you know about it, no. They also somehow manage to let you want to buy it. It means translate your knowledge into action. Okay? So if you see this form of communication, our teachers, I want to teach you, but I plan that you come for my remedial action. That means I already expect you don't know what I'm talking about for a second time. So suppose you are in the commercial world, that means you already failed. Am I right to say so? Right? Yes. So actually I'm thinking, okay, I'm actually arguing for it. Actually in education itself, in teaching itself, we can try to borrow some of the things that we can see from the communication theory. McDonald's and all these, the US, they have, in fact, most McDonald's over here, is it quite expensive? Is it expensive compared to other local food and all this? Yes. In Singapore, what it is. In fact, all this money is not used to, in fact, the things that they sell you is quite cheap. In fact, a lot of the money they use for commercial purpose, for advertisements, etc. Okay? So it is true because I read it in a book, is they actually get the commercial company to help them package. Okay, and you can see that when the product appears after a few months, okay, once everybody gets it, the advertisement will stop. They will stop. Because they know that if you keep on presenting, at first you already like it, but over dosage of it, it will become a nuisance. Okay, so after some time, they will stop. And when they stop, they stop it completely. And also, there are some things, actually this is related to communication theory. Okay, what we call repeated exposure. Okay, quite different from schools, school teaching. In school teaching, you feel that if a student cannot learn algebra, then you must change it to a form, to pretend or to disguise it so that they may accept it. But in communication, no. Because I want you to get it means I keep on exposing you to it. I keep on showing you. But I must be careful. I don't show you until you get so irritated. Because if you get so irritated, you will turn off. Okay? I show you keep on showing you. And up to a certain time, you will buy into my idea. Then after that, I stop. Okay, so I think from what I read is their advertisement itself is only periodical. It's only up to a certain number of months only. Okay? And so this is quite interesting. In other words, if this McDonald's were to use this tactic as a form of mathematics teaching, it will be very successful. Our students will get to know it and they will learn it, you see? Yeah, they just like in the case they so here they will, that means students will want to learn more about mathematics. So we have succeeded. So actually, when I read so many things, I was trying to see, is there any way that we are able to see education from a communication perspective? So I look at this communication model. Maybe I can share with you this. Okay, sorry for that, for a little bit of digression. Okay, let's take a look at the communication model. I'm using only very common models, not the advanced one. Okay, but I guess that's enough for our purposes. You see, in the case of communication, you have a source or sender. That means the person who wants to send the message and the message that you want to send. Then you have the that means you want this message to go to who? This is receiver. Huh? Then from the sender to the receiver, there is a channel of communication. Like for example, through in the case of all this advertisement of McDonald's, you'll be through all the TV or radio advertisement or you see it. When you drive around, you see the letter, you see all the advertisement. This will be the channel of communication. The channel of communication. So what happened is from the source to the receiver, you go through the channel. And there is a process of encoding and decoding. Encoding means the message I want to pass to you. Okay, I must encode it such that it can be transmitted. For example, I have a new product I want to sell to you. I am not going to tell you, hey, I have a new product for you. I must make it that's so exciting that you want to find out more. So this is called encoding. So when it reaches you, you know, oh, these two things exist, right? What is the price? Why is it so attractive? So you are slowly trying to decode it and to understand this information. So at the end of the day, the message is something, you have produced something that you want me to buy. And of course, for my case is I understand that it is worth buying. You see? Understanding it, but it is also the response. That means the receiver actually understands it and actually respond to it. I suddenly bring all my family members to go and buy it. So this is my response. Or if the product is not so good, after some time I will stop purchasing it. And my response will become the feedback to the sender. That not responding well, or you friends, I know that the feedback that I get is my product is not good enough. So I must go and improve on it. Okay, so this is the whole model of, this is the whole communication model. And of course, the thing between sender and receiver, there's always something called noise. Okay, there's always something called noise that affects your communication channel. Okay, I let you spend 1 minute, take a look at it. I allow you to, please feel free to ask any questions. I'm happy if you ask me any questions. Hey, why is the black screen there? Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, you take a look at this. Yeah, feel free to ask me anything. Yes, ma'am.
Apakah mass communication itu salah satunya nanti contohnya adalah komik yang sedang kita bahas ini?
Is comics the example of the mass communication?
You see, comics is a channel. It's a channel of communication. I will want to see that way. Later on, I will discuss this. I will see that comics is a channel of communication. Okay? You are a mathematics teacher. So you are the sender. Right? And what message are you sending? If you are teaching quadratic equation, that means the message you want to send is how to solve the quadratic equation, right? Okay, so you are the sender with the message. The message is the content that you want to send. Then typically what is the channel? You use textbooks, you use your worksheets, etc. Okay, so now I'm proposing something that is slightly different, a video clip, comics or whatever. Yeah, so I would not say comics is a it's part of the model of that, which is the channel of communication. Yes. Okay, that is my perception. Okay, can I have any other questions? Feel free. I think these are good questions, please. Any more? Okay, you see, next thing is, do you see the word, there's a noise there? Noise is anything that will disturb the communication. So now I'm talking to you. Suddenly outside, you're not able to. The thing is, you may hear wrongly. Right? So this is an example of noise. Okay, so I use a certain thing to talk about mathematics. Okay, I give you an example. In Indonesia, do you have, in your schools, do you organize large-scale activities for your students on art? Oh yes, Zulkardi, do you talk to me about Maths Day?
Yeah, International Day of Mathematics.
It's Pi Day, right? Yes. In this university.
How can we make a common mathematics but without text?
Ah.
So they say including just number,
Ah.
figure, and also the symbol. Yeah?
Yes.
And you can find in the IDM website.
Okay.
And then developed by UNESCO. A number from all over the world. Yeah? From all over the world.
Okay, okay.
Here we have an exhibition.
Ah.
Also the display, yeah? Because we asked undergraduate students to plug their phone.
Yes, yes. Okay, good, good.
For me, and last year it's a photo, mathematics photo. But the interesting you have already in that you have to let's say show in the photo. Yeah? Including the photo. For instance, there's a bridge, so the student has made photo bridge, but also the student inside the photo in order to see copyright.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes.
Other things, activity
Ah.
in order to make the student happy, ability of mathematics.
Yes, yes, yes. Good. Maybe can I hear from the for the rest of if you are from schools, what do schools? I think this is a university. I mean, the schools or elementary schools. Do you have such large-scale activities in mathematics? Are there such things celebrate the International Day of Mathematics, or are there days? Do you have? No. Okay, maybe I can share with you. Okay, if you don't have such example, I think Prof. Zulkardi, the university, you have professors here, so you will not run out of focus. I think it's very clear. But I see that some cases of schools, they organize maths activities in the schools. They organize a lot of games, a lot of games, all these things about games in mathematics. But then at the end of the day, students only know the games. They do not know what mathematics they are learning. Because those are done by school teachers, and school teachers sometimes, in order to make it fun, they may miss out the essence. So this is an example of a noise. So in the end, actually what I want to communicate with students is the mathematics. Okay, but in the end, the students get distracted from mathematics and know about the games. And they did not learn about mathematics. So this is an example of a noise. Yeah. Okay. So as a teacher, if you focus very clearly on the mathematics, and you should see whatever thing you are doing, movies, video clips, textbooks, those are only channel of communication. And those cannot be a source of distraction. Okay? Otherwise, it will become a noise and it will defeat the whole purpose. Okay, so if in the case of the schools, if you are working with school teachers and if they are doing this, you must always bring them to the right path. Okay, like what Prof. Zulkardi mentioned, because I think this is they focus a lot on the mathematics. The part, I think the message of mathematics is very clear. But when you go to school, some teachers may not have this expertise. So as a result, it may become a games day, no more a maths day. And the students only understand games only. So this itself will be an issue. Okay, so that's why from this communication model, I can see a lot of the things. I try to fit what I see in the school context. And I see things very clearly. Okay, like in the case of the comics, I will say more. Later on, what are the principles for you in designing the comics? No need to make it too elaborate. Do you know that when you get an artist to draw the comics, it's very expensive? It's very expensive. Okay, it is not cheap. But we don't need it for education. I will explain to you why later. Yes, next slide, please. You see, actually in education, many unconventional movements have emerged. Okay, this is, I believe people know that alternative perspective is very much desired. Now people are using movies and education. Now people are using comics and education. And some people are talking about entertainment and education. So there's a new English word here called edutainment. Entertainment plus education become edutainment. Okay, people are devising all these new words. That means entertainment itself can be converted for educational purposes. Okay, example, gamification. Gamification is one way of looking at it. So now there are many such things. And you can see that a lot of these movements involve using pop culture. And pop culture can be explained using communication theory. Okay? People are trying to popularize mathematics. Okay, people are trying to popularize mathematics. I share with you a case in USA, in the United States. I know of the IMO trainer, International Maths Olympiad trainer. Okay? He is training Maths Olympiad students representing the US teams. Okay, for the past, how many years? 10 years or so. But at the same time, he is also trying to popularize mathematics. How he tried to popularize mathematics is, okay, let me put it very bluntly. Maths genius, all those very clever in mathematics, all those world-class mathematics people, most of them are very nerdy, right? Looks like very scholar. Okay, so what he's trying to do is this star like that, you see. He comes from the university, which also involve visual and performing arts. He tried to get them to go through some other courses to become like pop star, and he made them to be the online coaches of mathematics. And I think he has a large market in Philippines, and I'm not sure Indonesia whether he has or not. He did talk to me in Philippines. He has a large group of students who go online to attend all these lessons. So he's using this pop culture image. That means somebody who looks like a pop star, okay, to teach mathematics. I think people are doing basis in communicate from this communication theory, most likely. Okay. Yes, I will stop for a while. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Any questions? Yes. Okay. No. Okay. Okay. Can I have any comments, please? At this point, is there any comments? Yes. Yes, popular culture. Just like, that comics, movies, okay, games, all these things that the youngsters are interested nowadays. Yeah. Yes. So what I'm trying to say is we can use all these pop culture related activities or rather we can use the term mathematicize all this pop culture activity. Okay, mathematicize it. Okay, and all these things can be explained using communication theory. This is something that is slightly new. I think not many people have used it. Okay, I have presented this 2 times or 3 times. Yes, and I'm just waiting for more critical review of all these things. Hopefully, so that's why any of your feedback or whatever thing, I'm always welcome. Okay, if you think certain things is not appropriate or whatever, I'm happy to listen to you. Okay, next please. Okay, this is what I have spoken earlier. Just now I've spoken, so I will not. Communication, basically, you need to take note of 5 aspects. Who says what, to whom, through what channel, and what is the effect. Okay, maybe I don't need to elaborate everything. Says what means the mathematics that you want to teach. Who says is the important thing. Okay, you see, according to the communication theory, you talk to me, I will only listen to you only when we have something in common. That's called the common sense field. I give you an example. You go to a lowest ability group of students. You put your mathematics professor to teach. Likely to have problem, right? Why they have problem? Because this low ability student so lousy. This professor is far from me. Whatever thing, I know he's very smart, but I just can't understand. What he says is true, but that's not relevant to me. You get what I mean? But why, when it translates to a classroom teachers conveying the same message, it may be more successful. Of course, this classroom teacher has already built trust with the students, and somehow the students has established some common fields of identity with them. For example, as a classroom teacher, I already built the trust with the students. I tell them, yes, I understand your problem. Okay, maybe when I was young, I was also like you, but how I overcome. You see, there is something in common. So they establish a common sense of identity. So it's like a Venn diagram. My experience and the student's experience, there's overlap. It's not non-intersecting. You see? So that's why who says is very important. Okay, so I'm not saying that a university professor cannot always talk to the lowest ability student. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that before there's going to be any trust or any buy-in, there must be a common sense of identity. Okay, that means they must have built a common trust. You see, so that's why in Singapore, I always tell my teachers one thing. Sometimes when you make mistakes, even in a classroom, it is not necessary that the students will lose confidence in you. Okay, this is what I always tell my student teachers. Sometimes you make mistakes itself. You demonstrate you are also human. You also make mistakes. But when you make a mistake, you recognize it's a mistake, and you know how to overcome it. This is you not build a common sense of identity, but you get them buy into what you are going to say. You are also a human being. You make mistake, but the problem is after that you know what to do. So I turn this into an example, okay, into a positive example for students to learn. So that's why some of the young teachers are always very cautious. Always go into the class, must present as if I'm the guru, I know everything. So all my explanation, everything is very clear. That is good, but that's not enough. Okay, you must build a common sense of identity with the students. You talk to the students how much time in preparing this, what at first when you solve what mistakes you made and how you overcome it. That means you talk aloud all this. So this is in a way an important part. Okay, can I have any comments here? Let me stop for a short while. Any comments that you want to add in? What I think is a lot of this communication perspective, actually if you put it in education, it has a lot of things to learn. We have a lot of things to learn. And sometimes from our current education theory, we may find certain things hard to explain. But using communication perspective, things are okay. You see, let me tell you, who says, I give you another example. Suppose somehow you manage to spend a lot of money, okay, to pay one of your most popular Indonesian pop star. Okay, I don't know how many billions of money you have to pay. You make him teach or her teach one mathematics lesson. This lesson will be 100 times better than you as the most well-trained teachers in teaching. Do you believe? It's not because he or she is a good teacher, but somehow I think the reason why he became so popular is because I think people can associate with his sense of identity, you see? I'm not asking you to do that practically. In fact, I thought this idea was crazy. Yeah? In fact, I talked to the American Ministry of Education to put in a large budget, okay, to get some celebrities, people like Taylor Swift, and talk about mathematics. But of course, I think, according to what he told me, is the Ministry of Education is not justified to spend so much money on this. Actually, this idea is not totally nonsense in a way. So that means someone else have explored this idea. Okay? And in the commercial world, it is true. Like in Singapore, okay? You know Milo, right? We have this chocolate drink called Milo. Do you have Milo here? Ovaltine Milo? Milo. 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 Okay. You call it Milo. Sorry. In Singapore, you see, in our Milo, this can, we always have celebrity photo there. Okay, they say that even this person also drink Milo. You see? I believe here you might have, right? But it's your local celebrity lah. Definitely. In fact, when I went to China, all their soft drinks, everyone has a special celebrity. Okay? So this one is not totally, why are all these companies willing to invest so much money? That is the reason. Okay? You see, for my case, I'm not saying that we need to do that. In which case, I think it's definitely not possible. But somehow, the message that I want to get across is, as a teacher, you want to establish closer link with the students. Okay? To build this trust, to have a common sense of identity. This is the first step. Then what you talk will be able to carry weight in your students. That's what I want to say. Okay? That is the most practical thing to do. Okay, in short. Okay, of course the effect is you do not want students to just understand, to know. You want students to react. In the case of product is to buy the product. In the case when you are teaching mathematics is you want students, their pen problem assigning them homework. So after you teach them, they get so excited, they will just take the pen and start doing. Whether it's right or wrong, they come and talk to you. So to me, this is the success. Okay? That means they don't just sit down and understand. Whether it makes sense. Then they will get back to you. Okay? So this is my interpretation of communication in the case of education. Yes, sir, please. Thank you. When is the situation? To me, I feel that once this is internalized, every lesson is a communication process in its own. Yes, like for example, now I'm going to teach how to solve linear equation. Okay, so of course I am the sender, I have the message. So how am I going to communicate this to the students? How am I going to communicate? I want to use comics, or I want to use games, or whatever. Then what is the channel? That means I've identified the channel. Then after that, to the receiver. I'm my receiver. What is the best opportunity for them to gain from this communication? So to me, the time of communication is any time, as long as you are teaching a concept. Yes. Every time you are teaching a concept, I can see this as a communication. It's a cycle of communication. Okay, thank you. Did I see any? Okay. Any other questions or any other comments, please? Yes.
For example, the dialogue communication between two books, mathematics books, mathematics and English book. In English book, comment, English book asks the math book, why the math book so sad?
Because it has many problems. Right?
Yeah, because it said, because I have so many problems.
Yes, this is.
That's kind of humor.
Yes. Yeah, this is a humor. Do you catch Prof. Zukadi's joke? A maths book and an English book. This is also circulating around in the internet, quite common. Always say the different. Yeah, this is playing around with. It's an example of a humor. Sometimes have some things like to lighten up the students' mood. I think that's also good, Okay. Because humor sometimes, I meant, it actually improves in. I think that's a good thing to do. Okay, can I go on to the next slide? Yes, so this is what I have been saying. It's important to establish the commonness of thought between the sender and the receiver. That means the sense of identity between the sender and receiver. Encoding, decoding, response, feedback are four important factors of communication in most communication models. And noise communication hinders effective communication. Now I come to something that's a bit in-depth. I will use my comics package. By the way, I have brought a few copies. In my research projects, I have some simple comics here. Okay, later on, I can pass around and you can take a look, and after that, you will return me. Okay, these are some comics. Thank you. If you just. You see? You just take a look. I don't have enough copy to give you, but you can take a look. I will give you the website later too. Hey. Sorry? Sell? No. Of course, I don't intend to take it back, but because unfortunately, these are the only copies that I have. Not enough to circulate. Maybe I will pass it to you. Maybe leave it here as resource or whatever, because I don't have enough to circulate. Sorry, I would love to give you one copy each, but I don't have enough to circulate. So maybe you keep it here as resource. Yeah. Okay, if it's useful, Okay. So you see, these are the four different modes. I will also explain to you, even though it is such a low-cost printing, but it serves its purpose. I will explain to you later. Okay, do you mind to... Okay, next slide. Okay. You see, the next thing I want to talk about the sender will encode the message. So this, okay, encodes the message. So this book that I pass around got two things. One thing you see, I want to teach statistics. I want to teach statistics. Statistics is the message. All the mean, mode, median, all those things. That is the message. But I present it not in the usual. So I'm doing encoding. Okay, encode into this comics. So when students read through, it's like comics. But because if you read through, the message is actually mathematics, even though it looks like comics. And transmits through the channel of communication, which is comics. That means I conduct lesson using this comics package. I conduct my mathematics lesson using this comics package. Okay? Then after that, what students do in my lesson? I will guide the students to decode it. You see, I use a lot of scaffolding, right? I use quite a bit of scaffolding. Like all the work, sometimes they fill in the blank, sometimes even the practice questions, they are graded, okay, from the easier to the most difficult, etc. All these are actually theory-based. I start from questions that are related to the comics and slowly move to other contexts. Okay, that means I'm teaching the students to decode the message. The reason is because I'm not teaching comics, I'm teaching mathematics. Comics is only to help them understand the mathematics. So they need to eventually understand, they know how to solve the exam question. And the receiver will give feedback and response, how they perform in the class, what they have understood, what they have not understood, etc. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just thought that before you explain it, how do students correctly decode the message through the comic? As you said before, the comic is the channel of the communication. And then you said that you bring the comic to your classroom. Yes. So basically you use the comic as like a tool to deliver your message. Right. So is it always, if we have like certain tools, maybe not only comic or video or something like that, we still have to bring them to the classroom? Or in your opinion, could students do use this channel on their own? I mean, no teacher who guide, do they will decode it correctly?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, right. Thank you so much. You see, whether you do it in classroom or you don't do it in classroom, you allow them to do it on their own. To me, I think it does not affect the communication. Okay, but rather, I think what you point out correctly is how students decode correctly. Like for example, you give me a movie clip to watch at home. You want me to learn the mathematics, but in the end, I may just enjoying the movie and learn nothing from there, right? Correct? So as a teacher, how are you going to ensure when I read a comics, when I watch a movie, I'm able to get the message you want me to get? So there must be some form of scaffolding, no? Yeah, like for example, after watching the video, you want me to answer some questions. Like for example, in this case, in the comics itself, after I read the comics, there are some practice questions that I can answer. If I can answer correctly, that shows that I have understood comics is excellent. So there are different ways of helping students to okay. In fact, this set of comics that I passed to you, one school actually did that. You see that the comics has a lot of dialogue box, right? Do you see there's a lot of dialogue box? So what one of the school teacher did was he in the lesson, he actually, another school that I went is instead of reading the comics, he got his students to role play, to act as the character in the comics, and to add in the dialogue themselves relating to the mathematics itself. Yeah, so there are many ways that the teachers facilitate the decoding. Answer the questions, fill in the blanks, get the students to act out and write their own dialogue box, etc. Yeah, so these are different ways now. Yes. Questions are good. Yes. Thank you. I really appreciate this. Huh? Any other questions, please? I really like to hear from you. Okay? You see, and also one of the things about the comics is I avoid all the very lengthy sentences, all the long sentences. Everything become very short. Okay, everything become very short. Huh? Okay, a successful communication results in the receiver responding. It's not just understanding only. Huh? That's the important thing. It's responding to the message. Okay, don't mind. Next. Thank you. Okay, I will show you an example. We have actually done 2 packages. One is percentage, one is statistics. Percentage, I have actually used up the books only. I only have these statistics around. Okay, but the percentage, I can give you the link, you can access it. Okay? You see, when I design this comics package, there are some things I take note of. You look at the words in red. I present each of the concept in short stories. I don't want to write a novel, a thick book to explain all the mathematics. One whole thick book of comics. I want to cut them into short stories. Into short stories, I think the cognitive load is not so high. Okay, the cognitive load is not so high. Short story, one concept, story. And the story usually is not more than 4 pages. Okay, not more than 4 pages with 6 windows each. Huh? And I also do not want the whole comics to look so complicated. I want it to be very simple with only 2 main characters. Sorry. Yes. Okay. I only want okay, I only want 2 main characters only. Huh? Okay. Okay, never mind. Let me continue talking. Okay, I only want 2 simple characters. If you read through the comics package, there are only 2 main characters. Of course, all the others are not the main ones. And these 2 characters are 2 different personifications. These 2 persons called Sam and Sarah. Throughout all the short stories, I have these 2 characters called Sam and Sarah. Sam is a person who is very street smart, who is very observant of the real world. And Sarah is the person who can explain all the mathematics related to this Sam's observation. You see, I think all these things, there is something that we want. Because I don't want to have too many, all the characters all around. It becomes a distraction. Okay, it can become a noise. People may get so attracted to all the different things like superhero, so attracted to superheroes. Okay, but to only these 2 characters, each one person is somebody who is strict, and the other is somebody who is good in mathematics, okay, but doesn't talk so much about the real world mathematics itself. Okay, this is one point. Huh? And the second point is that the context must be relatable to the students. Okay. Is there any problem? Okay, the context must be relatable to the students. This is very important. You cannot have something that the students doesn't like or think of it as nonsense. Then it would have its problem. You see,
It's very good class or characteristic of your comic.
yes.
First one is only to character.
Hmm.
The one is to communicate an idea. The second one how to connect to the real concept.
Yes.
The second one should be contextual.
Yes.
Yeah, because this is cross, I guess, Professor Dr. Lam might give the homework to the student, especially the young guy, to make their own comic.
Yes. Good idea, good idea. Of course, of course. Okay, you see, the context need to be simple. The context need to be simple. Okay, don't mind, can you move to the next, yeah. Okay. You see, we also design it such that you can use it in class or out of class. Okay? And this package, when I use it for instruction, it is complete in itself. That means for this chapter, the students will just read this comics package. They no need to go and read their textbook. So my comics package itself has all the practice problems, all the related activities, etc. Okay, so I use this as what we call a replacement unit. That means to replace the textbook for this chapter. Okay, so that this is not just an enrichment, so it is a source in itself. Okay, now, you take a look at my comics, very simple. Okay, why is that so? At first, Singapore context, if I want people to draw comics, it is really very expensive. Okay, very expensive. If you take a look, just let's say 4 pages. 4 pages, I have looked for the price. This is 1 page, this is 2 page. 4 pages already cost me 8,000 Singapore dollars. How much in Indonesian rupiah is around times 10,000, right? Times 11,000. Is 4 pages is already 8,000 Sing dollars. So definitely I have no money to do that. It's really expensive. Okay? No, the person who draws the comics charge it. It's very expensive. Okay, so what I did was I get a fresh graduate, okay, from the design, okay, to help me design all these things. So you take a look, it doesn't look very professional. But on hindsight, this is good. Because if I get a professional artist to draw, the comics will be so nice and it can become a design. They replaced by so but because I get this new fresh graduate, he can only use simple lines and circles, etc. Okay, so my research funding can pay for that, and it's also good. It doesn't serve as a distraction, so the message stays. Okay, so I would say that it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Okay, if I'm able to get somebody to draw such a perfect comics, that itself will become a distraction. So that may serve as a noise. Yes, ma'am.
Using this comic, is it possible for noise to happen like the graphics games your example?
Is it possible for these comics to? Yes, of course. Yeah, so that's why when the teachers how to enact the lesson carefully. Okay, how to enact the lesson carefully, so that that is what exactly you need to emphasize. Okay, to reduce the possibility of having the noise. But how nice it, we are aware of it lah. Okay, it is not possible to say 100% is, but is, yeah, at least we reduce it so that it is not so glamorous. Okay, look, and people will focus on the message and so on and so forth lah. Okay, but of course I do get the message. On the content for sales is all the youngsters, they have what, Black Friday or something like that. Okay, so I think the context will need to change with time as well. Okay, yes. So when I use this, I want to use it as an enrichment. I want to use it as an authentic teaching package. So it must come with all the concepts, all the skills, all the processes, all the questions, and all the class. Teachers, the comics, we give the guideline, and the teachers will design the lesson, give us a lesson plan based on our proposal, and we took a look at the lesson plans. Okay, next slide please. You see, over here some educators may not agree with us. You know, we say use simple language. We focus a lot on using simple language now. But some teachers disagree with us. They feel that you should use the language that will come out in examination. Okay, but what we say is we are trying to entice the students to the content of mathematics. So we start with using simple language first. In Singapore, we call Singlish. The form of English spoken by the Singaporeans, mainly they call it Singlish. We use simple language to entice them. Once the students are excited, eventually they will actually do more things on themselves. Okay, so the content is presented through the dialogues of the fictitious character. Basically, two characters talking about the mathematics, like what I show you over there. Okay, yes, next please, next. Now, what is the difference between teaching through comics and teaching through the standard way of the standard teaching of mathematics? When we say teaching through comics, the teacher is not just explaining the math concept. The teacher is doing the pedagogy called storytelling or narrative or narration. That means the teacher talk about the story. Of course, the teacher is not just talking about the story like monologue, but the teacher also engage the students into the conversation. You see, this symbol is called percentage, right? Where do you see this? What does it mean? So the teacher, as the teacher tell the story of this Sam and Sarah, they understood things going on. So scaffolding are provided to facilitate the decoding. That is very important, which was what I said. Is good. You see, we actually try to engage students in more different things. They are not answering questions alone. Do you see there's a part G where the question was empty? You see there? But I give the answer called basketball. That means I want the students to create the question. Is it basketball? Yeah. Okay, we are actually trying to use these comics. We are also trying to introduce a pedagogy called problem posing. We are also trying to introduce students to problem posing. Actually, you'll be quite shocked. Even though we are dealing with weaker students, many students are able to pose the right problem. Okay, we want them to develop this habit as well, to pose questions instead or in addition to just answering questions. Okay, so even though it looks like something that's very simple, we can infuse quite reasonable, which is give. This is what. Okay, next. Yes, we even get students to do storytelling. Line graph, this is line graph. We get the students, hold on. Okay, you see, there's no legend. The x-axis, y-axis, there's no legend at all, nothing. We want the students to fill in the legend and to tell a story based on this. Okay, in mass education, this is called higher order thinking. That means you create the story based on the graph. Tell me what the horizontal axis, what the vertical axis mean. Okay, and then after that, you interpret for me what the graph means. Okay, that means you are going to tell me a short story. Create your own story. So this one, we turn this into a competition. For a student to be able to tell the story correctly, that means he or she must have understood what the graph means and must be able to tell the meaning of the axis. What does this horizontal mean? What vertical means? So it was quite exciting to see that many students gave very interesting response for this. Okay? Yes, you see, comics is not just something that's very low order. You can go up to problem posing, tell your own stories, create your. Sure. Okay, next. Okay, great. This is an example because we are doing with the weaker students, so we must have examples for them to see what we mean. Okay, so based on the comics itself, they will see what is meant by a story of that nature. Okay, these are just examples only. Okay, next. I think almost done. Yeah. Another idea from communication theory I just want to bring across, which is what? Okay, there's one theory called repeated exposure theory. Some part of persuasion. At first, or to buy something. Okay? This is the first time you heard of the request. You may not react to me. That means, in other words, I have not managed to persuade you. Right? According to repeated exposure theory is, if I keep on telling you this message again and again, you see, if I keep on telling you this message again and again, but I ensure that you do not start to develop negative feeling towards my message, then very soon you will start to do what I ask you to do. You will be doing such experience. Like for example, if you watch your television program, first time you watch the advertisement, you got no reaction. Second time, no reaction. And after sometimes you watch, maybe the 10th time, you want to go and buy it. You may want to try things. You watch an advertisement, You watch an advertisement. First time, okay, you don't react. Second time, no. But after some time, it was repeated experience. When I teach my students some, don't give up, you see. You the message maybe in another more interesting, using a comics or using movie or what, but you are still presenting the same message. But you must make sure that the students do not turn off by this. Like for example, you give them something that's very sensitive to them, personally very sensitive, then they start to switch off from you. Then that's no good. That means I start to develop negative reaction. But if I have not started negative reaction towards the message, if you keep on presenting it to me, maybe in different forms, yeah, I may be persuaded you do. It's called repeated exposure. Advertisement always make use of this principle in their practice. So that's why you see advertisements, whenever you have a new product, the advertisements suddenly come in very frequently. Especially like what I told you, McDonald's. Always when the new product is up, newspapers everywhere, television, every channel, this new product appears. Everybody, after a few months, when it stopped, it's completely stopped. It's not keep on advertising anymore. To start to develop a negative feeling. Okay, too much exposure will become a nuisance. Yeah, just nice. Okay, maybe a few months. Yeah, that will be good enough. And it must also be sufficiently frequent. So what is the message? If your students don't like algebra, you have to teach them algebra also. But present it in a form that is more exciting for them. You cannot say they are not good in algebra, they don't like to learn, then you forget about it. You should still continue to expose them, but expose them in a slightly different form. Make sure that they don't develop negative reaction. Under what case will they develop negative reaction? When they find that it's totally beyond their ability to understand. Okay, you talk about all the high-level mathematics that they do not know what they are talking about. This is very easy to develop negative action. Like some teachers accidentally in the class actually affect the student's ego. I share with you in Singapore, I might have an experience with my own experience as a student. One of my university professor, when he taught us algebra, he said, this question is so easy. Even idiots, sorry, idiot is a very bad word. Even idiots know how to solve it. He said this. Then the next student he asked to solve, cannot solve. You get what I mean? So the whole class get very pissed off by this. So sometimes as teachers, we need to be careful not to let students develop this negative reaction. Okay? Yeah, so advertisement use a lot of this communication theory, use this repeated exposure theory. Okay, yeah, next please. Next, I think it's fine. Yeah, sorry, previous one. Sorry. You see, so this was what I mean. Some teachers actually branco off, because they don't want students to just read the comics or teachers to tell the story. They want students to participate. Students must fill in the blank. Okay? So it becomes an activity that the students follow through along the way. Okay? It's not just reading the story or role play. They also fill in the mathematics itself. Yes. And questions for them to make decision, like which one you should buy and so on and so forth. Okay, from exposure to decision making. We also let the students go and make decision, which dress to buy, etc. Okay, so from repeated exposure to decision making. So we are actually moving on to one more step. Next. Okay, next, this one I have spoken about it already. Next. You see, students need to appreciate the relevance. One need to be able to identify the relevance is not just real world application. The relevance here, what I mean is, you must be able to identify with the message. Okay? In this process, I want to reiterate that it's important to establish the commonness between the sender and receiver mentioned earlier. If you get a high-level professor and the weakest possible student, there's nothing in common, so the message will not get through. But if you are a classroom teacher who can empathize with the student, you talk to your student, the message can likely go through very well. Okay, this is what I mean, because there's some commonness between the sender and the receiver. Okay, next. Okay. we still have many other things. I think I want to say learning is a social activity. That's the last point. Learning is a social activity. Fashionable message got learned much more easily compared with others. Celebrity effect, which was what I say, if you can get some celebrity to teach the mathematics, it will definitely be better than the effect of your best mathematics teacher. And in fact, just broadcast that, the whole Indonesia, everybody will start to learn mathematics if you are able to do that. Okay, this is what I mean, this celebrity effect. Yeah, next. You see, so again, I try to explain a little bit. Because from constructivism, you see the message is best acquired through contextualizing. Because learners are creating their own knowledge. When they create their own knowledge, it is best acquired through contextualizing. Is to see how it is. Of the engaged in. So I think I'm almost in my last slide already. I'm actually trying to study the infusion of pop culture into the teaching of mathematics, and hopefully can use communication theory as the underlying theory. Okay, and we have this comics package that I pass around is what I call in the teaching of mathematics. Okay, yeah, thanks. I think done already. Yes.
I want to ask the utility of the box in which page?
Good. Thank you. Okay, actually, yes. Do you see, okay, maybe, do you see at the bottom there's a box here? This is actually for the students' refractive thinking. Okay, we did talk to the teacher that actually at each of these points, if there are things for the students to take note, get them to record it here. This is also part of the metacognitive control. That means, like, for example, for this page, certain things I think is not doing so well. I may want to make a note from here. This is not good. I'm not familiar with this. What are the problems, etc. So we also want to develop this in the habit of the students. But unfortunately, most teachers use it, but some do not. Some things is redundant. But a few other teachers use it to get students to do their reflection. Okay? Yes. Yeah, thank you. Okay. That's about it. I will stop here. I will want to hear your questions. Yes. Okay. Can close. Okay. So roughly this is my presentation for this part. Can I have any comments or any questions from you? Basically, I'm happy with this. Yes, ma'am.
Can we use like this thing, I mean like the exit channel in our communication to the very young children?
To very young children, yes, it is possible, but can I just, this set that I do is customized to grade 7. Okay, but of course, what I believe is that the theory of communication is applicable to all. Yes, but of course, if you want to do a package for the younger children, you need to reconceptualize. The language you use must be different. The context must be right, because we talk about great discount sales. All this to young children is not relevant. Yes, so we will need to look at the context. That's very important. But generally, the principle I believe is applicable, but the context you need to rethink. Yes, just like the language is not suitable. Obviously, the language is not suitable for young kids. Okay, and this way of answering questions, the young kids may not be used to it. And I think problem posing cannot be for too young children for it to be meaningful. Yeah, so I think certain things you need to reconsider. Yes, general things should be applicable. Just like young kids are so attached, so attracted to McDonald's, this shows obviously communication theory to a certain extent works. Yeah. Yes. Okay, any other comments or questions that I'm happy to hear from you, or any comments?
Would you explain a little bit the title magical?
Okay, magical. Sorry. Magical is an acronym in English. Because you know in Singapore, Singapore Ministry of Education has a program called ICAN. ICAN is an effort to help talk about the pedagogy. ICAN. It's an acronym also. Magical is our title. It's an acronym as well. Mathematics is great, you see. MA is mathematics. MA is great. We want students to have mathematics is good, you see. It's something that's great. And then ICA is I can. Just to play around with it, just to tie in, because and I like. I can alone is not enough, because I can do it is just a cognitive. I must like it, which is effective. So that was our intention to play around with it. Okay. Luckily, the Ministry of Education didn't give us any trouble because we are playing around with the words. Okay. Because we want to address the cognitive and the effective. I can is not enough, but I must like to do it. Right? Yes. So that was our intention. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Thanks. Any other questions? I'm happy to address you. You see, actually, if I have, there is a certain website. Is it possible to show a website? I guess it's okay. Okay, you go to the sample. I have the full comics under the sample, because I think I was not able to bring it to the full school's version because it's data. You see, I have the whole set of comics over here. Live? It's a website, yeah. It's a website. You can go and visit this website, you see. For the chapter on percentage, I have about 4 sets here. Okay, like for example, you go to Let's Go Shopping. Okay, so actually if you use your mobile phone, okay, you see, actually using mobile phone is more interesting. You can swipe the comics. This one is a bit harder. Huh? Hey, how come my cursor disappeared? Oh, okay. Okay. How come I can't go to the next one? But do not want to be here. Okay, let me see. Okay, sorry. Maybe just let me show you here. Maybe I need to try my mobile. See what exactly happened. Because I have all these 4 sets here. I actually meant for people to try out this for those of you who are keen. Okay, so these are the few sets here. I think if you use mobile, you should be able to click and drag along. Let me try to see. Am I able to do that?
If you want to share, I will disconnect mine. Wait.
Hold on, I think maybe not. Because I think I also have some problem. Now I can't. Yes, yeah. Okay. Can you share this? Can you share this?
I will disconnect.
Okay, never mind. How did you manage to get here? Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Actually, if you take a look here, okay, if let's say it's on a mobile phone, on a mobile phone it is just click. Okay, just like what young kids nowadays when they do the online comic, they will just click the left or the right. Okay, and then you can see in each of the sections, this is like revision. Okay, what exactly this percentage means? Can you let me help you click? These are self-generated questions. So what exactly 5% means? Okay. You see, okay, so this is 100 cards, right? So what does 5% mean? Suppose this student go and click 4 cards. Can you enter? Click the submit. because this system, I think I have not maintained it for a while. Okay, by right, what happened is that when you actually key the questions, etc., the feedback will come out to you immediately. Whether this is wrong, this is right, what exactly happens. Sorry, now I have a little bit of a problem. Okay. Okay, by right, even when it's wrong, there is a comment. There is a comment that is wrong. But now I'm not sure what exactly happened. Okay, let me just go through this. So actually, our effort was we actually developed this set of online comics. Okay, so students on their own time, they can also read through, they can try the questions, and they can get the feedback. And actually, at the back end, the school teachers will know who have tried these questions, how many times they have tried, at what time they have tried, and what are the questions, what are the answers that they put in, etc. Okay, so this was our tracking for the school teachers who participated in our research. Okay, so just to share some of these things with you, let me go and check through. Certain things are not good at the current stage. Okay? Yes, maybe that's all I want to say. Okay, so I have finished off this part of my presentation. Yeah, so any comments or any other general discussion, I'm happy for that. Huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think my comment is very outstanding presentation. We have also very good example for which the student to start this set about comic. This is very interesting and very thought. Nowadays, when the IDM has this year, the comic is one of the
Yes.
Because this is the jump progress of course, I guess.
Mm.
I mentioned that the students make their own comic. When you are meeting again next month for an exam, you will see 9.
Yes, yes, why not? Why not? Yes, that would be great. That would be great. Yes, yes, yes. That would be very good. Yes, but I think for those of you, if you are doing PhD, if you design comics, always bear in mind the purpose of comics is to use comics to teach mathematics and not to teach comics. The important thing you must bear this in mind. And the comics, you should minimize any possible distraction or noise. Okay, and of course, if this is the part of PhD, I think the underlying theory is very important. This is the theoretical part lah. Any PhD need to take note of the underlying theory. Yeah, that's the crucial. For classroom practice, it's a different thing, and for PhD, it's slightly different. Okay, okay, good. Thank you. I think I'm done. Thank you. I'm happy if you have any questions to continue discussion. I'm happy for that. Yeah.
Thank you very much for Associate Professor Toh Tin Lam for this workshop today. I really, and of course we all here really appreciate with your presentation, and we hope all of our students can make a good cartoon or comic with their own context. And please, if you give a lesson again, so please ask them to present their product. Thank you so much. Thank you. We give applause to Professor Toh Tin Lam. Thank you.
The next agenda, our coordinator study program will give the certificate okay. Our next agenda, Prof. Ratu Ilma, as the coordinator of study program, will hand over the certificate to our adjunct professor, Associate Professor Dr. Tohtin Lam. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's all our workshop agenda today, and we thank you and apologize if any words that's less pleasing to the audience here. Let us close this workshop by saying hamdalah, alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.